Hey everyone, welcome to week 7. I'm just going to take a couple minutes to go through the agenda with you so that you know what lessons and assignments are in store for you this week. Go ahead and take a look here. Obviously, the first thing you'll need to do is take the week 7 attendance quiz. Remember, the questions on that quiz will come from the material that we covered in week 6. Once you have submitted that quiz, you will have access to the lessons and the discussion for week 7. The first thing you'll see under the quiz is a quick review of week 6. And then you have one lesson for this week, and it is all about the revision process. So there's a video that you'll need to watch, and then I've linked the PowerPoint below the video. It is a required lesson, so you must go through it. It's also a super helpful lesson. A lot of students aren't real sure exactly what the revision process entails. And therefore, when they are asked to revise something, they look at very small details like grammar and mechanics and spelling, and they don't realize that there are a lot of bigger, more important elements that you need to look at first before you get to those smaller details. All right, so super helpful for everyone. The homework for this week, the first item is a peer review. There are some release conditions associated with the peer review assignment. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at those. Okay, so the first thing that you'll need to have completed is submitting project part 3. If you don't have a rough draft finished and submitted yet for project part 3, there's no real way you can expect to participate in the peer review. But the peer review is a super helpful exercise. Plus, I need to get those rough drafts from you as soon as possible so that I can start reviewing them, because I do spend a lot of time on each one of them. So if you haven't submitted project part 3 yet, please do so as soon as possible. Not only is it a benefit to you, it's a benefit to me, and then it also means that you should be able to then move on to do the peer review assignment here in week 7. Okay. The next release condition is, of course, the week 7 attendance quiz. And then also you'll need to have reviewed the week 7 lesson on the revision process. Like I just mentioned, it is a required lesson. All right. So those 3 release conditions, the biggest one really being that you've submitted project part 3. I think, if you're here in week 7, you've probably taken the attendance quiz, and there's only one lesson to go through. So that's an easy thing to accomplish. The big one, the big question mark is, have you submitted project part 3 yet? Because if you haven't, then you cannot access the peer review assignment, which makes sense, because if you don't have a draft, it's not really fair for you to get to receive someone else's draft and complete the peer review assignment. Everybody needs to have their rough draft submitted and sent to their assigned classmate so that everyone can do this peer review assignment. Watch the video in the instructions for the peer review. It's, there's a lot of steps to this assignment, and I want to make sure everyone understands exactly what you're supposed to do. You should have already emailed your rough draft to your assigned classmate when you submitted project part 3. And if you haven't done that yet, go back to project part 3, because there's a chart at the bottom of the instructions with a list of everyone in the class and instructions on how to find the person you're supposed to send your rough draft to. Okay. Though that chart and those instructions will also be in the instruction area for the peer review assignment, but hopefully everyone has already taken care of that when they submitted project part 3. All right, so make sure you watch the video in the instructions for the peer review assignment so that you know exactly what you're supposed to do to complete this item. And it's due Sunday by 11:59. The other item for this week is, of course, the week 7 discussion. This discussion is going to be a little different. There's going to be an article that you have to read that I have provided in Word document form. And it's about peer reviews. So notice a theme this week: revision process and peer reviewing. So you're going to have to read that article. It's not terribly long, and it's definitely not an article that is difficult to read. It's a pretty easy read. But it's interesting. So you'll have to read that article and answer some questions about it. This is all explained in detail in the instruction videos in the week 7 discussion. Try to have your first post up by Thursday night, and then respond to 2 classmates by Sunday night. The discussion will remain open during week 8, but remember, if you're posting during week 8, it's for a 50% reduction. So do your best to get the whole discussion completed on time so you don't lose out on those easy points. That's it for week 7. I will be reviewing rough drafts this week and getting feedback to you on suggested revisions. Like I said, I take a lot of time on those. My feedback is super specific and detailed, and I really get into each of these drafts. So that's what I will be doing this week. You guys will be learning about how to go about revising your papers and how to complete a peer review. If you have questions or run into any issues throughout the week, please let me know. Otherwise, you're free to go ahead and get started.